Hmm. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Uh, man, we got a show for you today. That's about it. We got the trade war. Okay. Donald Trump's dumb, stupid, trade war. Great. We got Republicans. Their answer to the town halls. Okay, they're getting eviscerated in town halls, and now we're wondering, where do they go from here? Do they start addressing these things, or will they do something else? You're not going to be shocked to find out that they're doing something else. We have anti-vaxxers versus RFK. Wait, what? That's an interesting story. We have Donald Trump threatening free speech. Big surprise there. And is there going to be a Social Security collapse? Hmm. Interesting. So that's horrific to think about. So why don't we dive into it first? Before I do, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. Those of you who are watching live on YouTube, trying to go live around 2 p.m. Eastern. That's just kind of how it works out now. So it's when I get done and I'm ready. So that's what I'm going to try to do. 2 p.m. Eastern. Um, Going live on YouTube for those of you who are listening through our Patreon. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. Those of you who are not, why don't you sign up? I mean, my God, man, support independent progressive media if you can, if you're able to, because we desperately need your help. So, I mean, if things are bad out there, and if you want somebody who's going to give you, honest analysis about, from a progressive perspective, I think I do a passable job. Yeah, I'm okay, middling, and that, for that, I could use your help. All right. Anyway, terrible pitches aside, why don't we dive into Donald Trump's dumbass trade war? Oh boy. And that's it. We lose. Of course.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
The tariffs Trump was mentioning in that video are now officially in force, and things are about to get painful. Not for the other countries, but for us. Prepare to pay more for a wide variety of goods from Mexico, Canada, and China, which actually it constitutes a lot of imported goods, things that we buy. It's about 40% of the value of all the goods that the US imported last year. So, I mean, you got fresh produce. So, get ready to pay more at the supermarket. Okay, you got cars, you got car parts. So, hopefully, you're not planning on buying a car, electronics, phones, computers. That's among the top goods the US imports from these three countries that will now face tariffs between 20 to 25%. So that's disastrous. Okay. Now, it's a lot of stuff. These three countries are our biggest trading partners. And Donald Trump is doing them dirty. Okay. Real dirty.
Sexual anarchy.
No, no, not in that way, but still, it's really bad. Look, the only goods that will not face a 25% tariff from Canada are things that are energy related, because of course, right? That's crude oil. That's one of the top goods the U.S. imports from Canada. They will be subject to a 10% tax, which of course we will end up paying anyway, because we're going to be bearing the cost of all this, of this ridiculous trade war that none of us wanted. Now, in response, of course, Canada has just decided, you know what? It's war. It's war. Now we're going to impose our own 25% tariffs on about $30 billion worth of U.S. products. In fact, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said this, quote, Canada will not let this unjustified decision go unanswered. I know I should have a Justin Trudeau voice, but I don't. Our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. trade action is withdrawn. And should U.S. tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures. While we urge the U.S. administration to reconsider their tariffs, Canada remains firm in standing up for our economy, our jobs, our workers, and for a fair deal. Okay. Now, he added, because of the tariffs imposed by the U.S., Americans will pay more for groceries, gas, and cars, and potentially lose thousands of jobs. Tariffs will disrupt an incredibly successful trading relationship. They will violate the very trade agreement that was negotiated by President Trump in his last term. You know what? That is something that does not get brought up enough. And that's partly my fault for not bringing it up enough, but it's not just me. It's a lot of other people, okay, that report, mainly mainstream media, okay? This was Donald Trump's own trade deal, okay? He negotiated this back during his first administration. And now he's like, oh, what a terrible deal. We're getting screwed over on trade. They're taking advantage of us massively. Bro, you negotiated it. If anything, it would be your mess. Okay, why did you negotiate a terrible deal that takes advantage of us? What the hell, man? What's wrong with you? Now, of course, he's going to claim that it's not because it's a terrible deal, because he changes his opinion on things based on nothing and whenever the hell he feels like it. Okay. Now he's saying, well, the reason that we got to do the tariffs is because of the all that Canadian fentanyl.
Vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico, and as you know, also from China, where it goes to Mexico and goes to Canada. And China also had an additional 10, so it's 10 plus 10. And it comes in from Canada and it comes in from Mexico, and that's a very important thing to say. Yeah,
it comes in from Canada. It comes in from Mexico. It comes in from China. And it's going to Canada. Wait, what? Okay. No, this is not a real problem, okay? See, in reality, less than 1% of the fentanyl intercepted at the U.S. border came from Canada, okay? In fact, I think one of the problems here is that we're sending too much to Canada, okay? But not only that, okay, overdoses from fentanyl have dropped dramatically in the last year, okay? Down nearly 24% since 2023. According to the latest data from the CDC, okay? And so, what do you mean? What do you mean? Fentanyl, it's because of the fentanyl. No, this is because you're stupid, okay? Now, that's Canada. There's only one country that, we're putting these ridiculous tariffs on. No, we've got Mexico. Now, when it comes to Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum just announced that her country, too, would retaliate with 25% tariffs on U.S. goods. Oops. She said, there is no motive or reason nor justification that supports this decision that will affect our people and our nations. But, Jeff, what about the fentanyl? We got to stop the fentanyl. And we got to stop the immigration, right? Here's the thing. Data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection shows that fentanyl seizures at the U.S.-Mexico border have dropped by roughly 50% in recent months. So, these countries, both Canada and Mexico, which, by the way, put more National Guard on their borders, okay, they have done what Donald Trump demanded, what he asked, and then he moved the goalpost. And so he still, slaps them with tariffs, okay? And look, I'm not someone who defends companies, all right? You know me, okay? I don't defend corporations. So this is going to be really weird for me. All right. But now Trump recently posted that, hey, if companies just move back to the United States, well, then there wouldn't be any tariffs. Now, yes, that would be true. Okay. Now, one of the problems here is you can't just relocate everything in 30 days. All right. These are not magical factories. Okay. That, can close up shop somewhere else and relocate overnight. Okay. And look, unless they do, which you're likely not going to, then we're going to be stuck paying tariffs. So, and again, the government does not pay the tariffs. The importer pays the tariffs. And that's it. And that's it. So yeah, that means us. It's going to get passed down to the consumer. Now, that's not all. China announced its own countermeasures, which include a 10 to 15% tariff on agricultural goods. So this is going to hit the Trump farmers, okay? This includes wheat, corn, beef, and soybeans. China is the U.S.'s biggest buyer of these goods. So here comes the farm bailout. Now, here is Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Juan saying, quote, if the United States persists in waging a tariff war, a trade war, or any other kind of war, the Chinese side will fight them to the bitter end. Great. Lovely. Lovely. There is a reason why companies moved out of the U.S. Yes, for to try to pay low wages. Yeah, we know that's the reason. Now, that said, how did the markets react to all of this? Not good. Very, very bad. Line go down massively. The S&P 500 dropped nearly 2%. Earlier in the day, the Dow Jones, the Nikkei 225, all down. Boom, gone. Okay, it's going down. Volkswagen dropped by almost 4%. By about 5:45 yesterday, or I'm sorry, this morning. While Stellantis, the maker of Chrysler and Jeep, fell nearly 7%. Oops. And now the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model showed negative GDP growth of about 3%. Negative 3%.
Whoopsie. Whoopsie.
Wow. In fact, Professor Jeremy Siegel, Emeritus of Finance at Wharton, y'all know who went to Wharton, okay, said, virtually all recent economic data has surprised to the downside, including jobless claims, which unexpectedly spiked above expectations. What's unexpected about that when he's firing the federal workforce? Okay. He said the weight of uncertainty and slowing growth suggests continued volatility. Volatility. And look, that's a result, yes, but I also think that might be the point. I think he wants to crash the U.S. economy. Okay, this is going to be one of those. You acquire a new company, and then you load it up with debt. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. Anybody? You do massive cuts of the workforce, and then you let it collapse. And while it's all falling down around you, you set yourself up with a golden parachute. Yeah, I think that's the point. And look, his billionaire buddies, by the way, they benefit too. They're going to buy up everything and then make even more money. And this is all while the rest of the country, a lot of his voters, by the way, suffer from extreme poverty because they're slashing the social safety net. Medicaid's going to lose $880 billion over the next 10 years. The SNAP program is going to lose $230 billion, okay, over the next 10 years. And so those safety nets, It ain't just people in the inner city that use those. No, it's a lot of red states, mostly red states, and a lot of people in rural America. You also have people, soldiers using them at commissaries. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be hurting as a result of that. And it all starts with Donald Trump's ridiculously dumb, unnecessary trade wars and complete lack of understanding and even wanting to understand basic economics. Okay. And just hurtling us forward towards a complete and utter collapse. Buckle up. It's going to get bad. All right. I wish I had better news, but I don't. And we probably will not have better news for a long time. Okay. So let's move on here. In the wake of the disastrous town halls showing Republicans facing off against angry voters, the GOP chair is now advising these very Republicans to just stop doing town halls. Oh yeah, no town halls. Stop. Just don't do it. All right. Just hide from your voters. That's it.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Yeah. According to the Wall Street Journal's Olivia Beavers, Representative Richard Hudson, the chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee, is telling members that, quote, no one should be doing town halls at the moment. Great. Hudson also predicted that the protests at town halls and district offices are just going to get even worse in the coming weeks. Gee, I wonder why. Wonder why this is happening. To be clear, he said, this comment, Beavers said this one, this comment applies to in-person town halls only. House Republicans are still advocating for other types of meetings like teletown halls, Facebook Lives, etc. Oh, yes, the teletown halls where they can, basically kick out anybody who speaks out against them, or the Facebook Lives where it's just like, oh, we can just block that, and it's just going to be me telling you about how great we're doing. Oh, no, it's going great. We're finding, God, there's so much fraud. Look at all the fraud. We're finding everything. Okay, look at all that. Oh, we're doing such a great job. Look. Did you just say something negative about me? Ban him, ban him, ban him, ban him. Okay, so that's what it's going to be. All right. I mean, any town hall, quote unquote, right, where you might have to look the people that you are harming with your policies in their face, we're not going to do. Let's just not do that. Not going to do it at all. Okay. That's it.
Can't let that happen.
We're just going to ignore it. So ignore those angry crowds, okay? Now, you know what? They're all just Democrat plants anyway. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. One of you just brings up a great point in the chat here. So they can telework? After they canceled a lot of federal workers' ability to telework? Oh, that is ironic. Oh, I love that point. Best audience in the world, okay? So now look, these are Republican voters. These are not Democrat plants, okay? And look, a lot of these voters are pissed off that the party did what is essentially a bait and switch. I mean, during the campaign, you all remember this. Hey, we're going to bring down inflation. Biden inflation. We're going to bring it down. It went up. Oh, don't worry, though. We're going to bring down the price of eggs, right? Eggs are going to go down. Everything's going to be fantastic. We're going to be like in a magical new world where gas is 99 cents a gallon and eggs are back to, being super, super cheap. Okay. Oh, did those go up too? Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh, but no, don't worry though. We are finding the waste, fraud, and abuse. Except we can't actually prove that. We didn't really find any. But hey, we did cut your job though. Oh, yeah. Turns out you don't like that. Turns out you kind of needed your job so you could afford your bills. Oops. Guess we're just not going to do town halls anymore. Yeah. And by the way, they didn't find any waste, fraud, and abuse, but they did find a way to trick people, okay, into cutting all these, into allowing them to cut all these jobs, these federal, jobs, so that they could give trillions of dollars in tax cuts to the rich, to their donors. And all while gutting Medicaid and the SNAP program. Gee, no wonder people are pissed. Okay? And people are going to these town halls. All right? Now, what's surprising here is who is more angry at the Trump economy? It's boomers. What is going on? That's right. A January NPR PBS News Marist poll indicates that 59% of Americans now feel that the economy is not working for them. That is up from 29% in February of 2020. When asked the question, how would you describe the direction in which President Trump is moving the U.S. economy? 50% of baby boomers say it's gotten worse, compared to 39% who say it's gotten better. Boomers! What is going on here? Now, what's weird, and especially coming from my generation, okay, it appears millennials have a bit more of a sunny outlook, which is weird. 46% say that it has changed for the better, compared to 43% who say it has changed for the worse. Millennials, what the hell? Okay, like my fellow generation, are you okay? I mean, no, we're not okay. Okay, and it's funny because I think it's because we're used to terrible economic conditions. So, I mean, when you come of age during the 2008 financial crash, okay, and you're not able to find work, and then you go through all these other things, including, the most recent thing, COVID. When you go through that and all these different events, I guess maybe you tend to be a little bit more optimistic, even when stuff is falling on, is currently on fire, all right, and falling apart. We never really had it very good, millennials. It's been pretty bad for all of us, and we don't remember good times, and especially Gen Z. That same poll actually found that more members of Gen Z are like, oh yeah, we're going in the right direction. Gen Z does never lived through a time of real economic prosperity. Okay, not for the working class. All right, so Gen Z is like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. I mean, everything's going okay. Wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Look, now experts suggest that baby boomers' disapproval may stem from concerns about inflation and the impact of new tariffs, which they voted for. In contrast, millennials who may be less affected by immediate inflationary pressures, love to meet those people, could be more optimistic about job prospects and wage growth, leading to higher approval of current economic policies. Are you sure? Now, here's the thing, too, about these town halls. You know who reliably shows up to these Republican town halls? Boomer Republicans. Okay. Now, here's why this is disastrous for these Republicans. In the last election cycle, when Republicans faced down angry constituents at town halls, when Trump was talking about we're going to get rid of the ACA and was trying to do it, the party ended up losing a total of 41 seats in the House of Representatives. It's a complete and utter disaster for the party. And so, but getting back to, the Republicans and who they blame for these terrible town halls, well, they never blame themselves. obviously, and they're not going to admit that, oh, our voters are mad. No, they're going to blame the left. Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters after this meeting, quote, there are people who do this as a profession. They're professional protesters. And said that it was wise to not play into that, and added that teletown halls were a good idea for members to hear from their constituents. Wait, whoa. I want to be a professional protester. Where are those job listings? I'll sign up. I want to get the Soros checks for protesting Donald Trump. Where do I sign up? I'm sitting here. I'm like, hey, I'll be a protester. Yes, give me some money to protest. Can't find a job to do that. Oh no, of course not, because it's not real. It's not real. Look, to think that these criticisms, which are real and valid, of these very unpopular cuts and allowing Elon Musk to basically go in and do whatever the hell he wants to our treasury system, to say that all that is just the work of paid protesters from these shadowy leftist organizations. Ooh, that's massive cope. Okay, they're coping. It's a lot of cope. And of course, the Republicans, these congressmen, are now going to deal with it by hiding in the bunker. We got to go to the bunker. Okay, that's it. We got to hide from our own constituents. I have a feeling that this is, not going to go well. It's not going to end up turning into any sort of electoral success, assuming, of course, we will have elections in 2026. But, yeah. So not going to go well. And, well, to which I say, good. They get what they deserve. Okay. Let's move on. Oh, they believe that they'll soon be receiving the Doge stimulus checks. Oh, they're going to be so bummed out that it's never going to, those are never going to show up. That's going to be the biggest bait and switch. I know, I've read about them like, oh, did you know you're going to get the Doge stimulus check? No, you're not. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. I can almost guarantee, okay? Like, at best, they'll try to figure out some way. Like, if their approval rating tanks that badly, then they'll maybe try to find a way, to finance some debt, okay, to get something like that passed. But I doubt very much that anybody is getting a Doge check. Ridiculous. Not gonna happen. Okay. No, there's no way in hell. It is probably something that Donald Trump would consider, right? Because let's just give them a little bit of money and maybe they won't be so mad. But no, nobody else is gonna do it. The Republicans, it's completely throw a fit. So it would never happen. All right. Anyway, let's move on to anti-vaxxers versus chief anti-vaxxer. The anti-vax community is raging at RFK Jr. after he endorsed, sort of, vaccinating kids against measles during a measles outbreak. Okay, so currently that disease is exploding in several states where there is a high amount of unvaccinated kids. Gee, that's unsurprising. In fact, one child died as a result. Okay, so now last week, RFK Jr. got into some hot water by, after appearing to downplay this public health crisis, leading to one staffer actually resigning. Tom Corey, who served as Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at Health and Human Services, announced on Friday that he was done. Like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. All right? I'm leaving.
That's it. See you later.
Okay. Now, the reason for Corey's departure was not given. Okay. But sources told Politico that the aide had become frustrated by Kennedy's muted response to the measles outbreak in Texas. So I remember talking about that, how he's like, well, it happens, whatever. People get measles all the time. So, I don't really understand. No, it's not really a big deal. Okay. But apparently the backlash for that forced him to do something. Okay. In fact, on Sunday, he wrote an op-ed saying that vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons. Okay. Now, he's right about that, but of course that same op-ed goes in to push, like, vitamin A. Okay. So it's like, well, I mean, you could, vaccines do a great, good job at all this, but have you tried vitamin A? Okay. Now, that said, even that mild endorsement of, I don't know if I want to call it an endorsement of vaccines was too much for Maha. Okay. And they saw this as a betrayal, which is amazing. Now, before I get into that, by the way, RFK Jr. has had a bit of a relationship with measles. Okay, it's complicated. Okay, and goes back to Samoa. All right. Now, back in 2021, he wrote that measles was not deadly and outbreaks had been fabricated to push people towards what he called unnecessary and risky vaccines. Okay. In 2019, he encouraged the nation of Samoa to do a bit of an experiment, right? That involved allowing a large group of children to not be vaccinated. What happened? Well, a measles outbreak killed 83 unvaccinated kids. Many of them happened to be very young. Kennedy claimed, I didn't have anything to do with this, okay? But in interviews with government officials, international public health experts, and local anti-vax activists, along with media reports, reviews of social media posts, blogs, and podcasts from the time, show that Kennedy and his nonprofit had tried to exploit an initial vaccine accident, which caused a lot of people to question it, okay? And then used that and exploited that to promote anti-vax information that may have cost lives. So yeah, that's his relationship with the measles, and the vaccine. And so hearing him say, "Oh no, yeah, vaccine, it'd be all right. Yeah, it works, great." Even after doing all that, okay. But Maha looks at that and says, "Betrayal! How dare you?" Linda Catalina, conservative influencer, told her 35,000 followers on X, because of course, that Kennedy is, quote, no different than Fauci. Yes, Fauci. Or anyone else from the old Biden regime. You remember Anthony Fauci? Probably worse than Bill Gates. That's what they're going to say. She said, RFK Jr. is already proving to be a fraud. Patriot Voice. Oh, you know this is going to be good. He's got nearly 150,000 followers on X, said Kennedy had just betrayed Maha. So RFK Jr. thinks that it's okay to continue poisoning people with heavy metals. That sounds metal. And aluminum directly penetrating the blood-brain barrier. Something penetrated your blood-brain barrier, buddy. That is definitely not Maha. In Vandersteel, who had celebrated Kennedy's Senate confirmation just 3 weeks ago, wrote on Monday, "What is going on here? Who is MK Ultra'd Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? I'm sorry. I think of MK Ultra. I know what it is, but I think of Mortal Kombat for some reason. So somebody mortal. But I also think of Killer Instinct, which is another fighting game from the 1990s, which had ultra combos. So we got an ultra combo of stupid going on here in the Maha movement. Maha and MAGA and getting together to be like to poo poo on vaccines, right? That do save so many lives, that have saved so many lives, but there's more. There's more. An account known simply as the Health Ranger, not to be confused with the Red Ranger or the White Ranger or the, any of the Power Rangers, okay? But it's just as real, okay, as one of them said to his 282,000 followers. Again, this is all X, which is ridiculous. RFK Jr. is making it impossible for his own supporters to defend him, given that he's now practically a spokesperson for the vaccine industry. What? And of course, former kind of still political blogger, but now mommy blogger, Candace Owens decided to chime in, saying, "This is absolutely wild. I'm thinking I might need to release the MMR episode of my Shot in the Dark series for free. Oh, yes, I'm going to remove the paywall. So that parents understand that this is not a safe vaccine at all. The combination of vaccines are the worst. Ironically, I learned this from RFK Jr. How about we stop taking health advice from cranks like Candace Owens and grifters, okay? Also Candace Owens, okay? Remember, during COVID, this lady was out there hawking the supposed benefits of taking colloidal silver, okay? Again, as a cure for COVID. So, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. No, let's not listen to these grifters. That said, okay, oh man, so RFK Jr. is promoting a vaccine. Kind of. Experts are wary, with good reason. In fact, Dr. Amesh Adalja, senior scholar at Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, said, while he kind of gives some lip service to the vaccines, the fact that he uses phrases like personal choice is a wink and a nod to the anti-vax movement. They know he's their man. Well, I don't think they do know that he's their man because they're not really all that smart, okay? Yes, you can give a wink and a nod, but if you're too stupid to notice that, well, then I guess that's kind of a problem, okay? Dr. Molly O'Shea, a Michigan pediatrician and spokesperson for the American Academy of Pediatrics, said that Kennedy, the fact that he didn't, fully back vaccines is quote unquote concerning. He certainly did not disparage vaccination in the way he worded it, but he did not come out with a strong statement of support for vaccination. Vaccination is by far the most effective strategy at reducing morbidity and mortality from measles. That was not his go-to message. So, yeah. Look, they've got good reason to be skeptical of Kennedy. I already mentioned earlier, his editorial doubled down on the questionable treatment for measles, which is taking vitamin A. CDC has recently updated their recommendation supporting administration of vitamin A under the supervision of a physician for those with mild, moderate, and severe infection, Kennedy wrote, referring to the CDC, of course, which is now under Trump control. So you can't really trust it when they start saying things like, oh, vitamin A. Now, here's the thing, right? There are cases where vitamin A is given when someone has measles, but this is in places where, you have low-income countries where nutrition is a factor, or malnutrition happens. Okay. So they might not have enough vitamin A. So yeah, in order to help them get to, normal vitamin levels, yeah, they'll prescribe some of that along with other treatments. Okay. And again, that's in low income countries. In the United States, most people have normal levels of vitamin A. So we don't need supplements. And that's what it is. It's a supplement. It's not a cure. In fact, here's the thing. Too much of this, experts say, is toxic. You can overdose on vitamin A. It's pretty easy to do, apparently. Now, Adalja of Johns Hopkins said that Kennedy's references to vitamin A only served to discourage the MMR vaccine among his followers. Quote, when RFK Jr. is talking about vitamin A, a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's his code word, that we should be doing that and not taking the MMR vaccine. So, yeah. And now, as fun as it is to see RFK Jr. getting it from all sides, like, yeah, pro-vaccine people are like, don't trust him. Now the anti-vaxxers are like, don't trust him. Good, because you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Look, no matter what you do, though, remember MAGA and MAHA are, and all these people, they're not going to be happy until the floor is literally with dead children from all of these diseases that we would have, that we supposedly got rid of and had gotten rid of thanks to vaccination. Okay? They're not going to be happy until there's dead children everywhere. As long as it's not their own. Once that happens, once it actually affects them, and we saw this during COVID, okay, as long as it doesn't affect them, they're anti-vax. But once it affects them, once it hits home, then it suddenly, a lot of them are like, vax, please. So, but until that happens, unless that happens, these people are going to continue to grift. Just like Kennedy. Because at the end of the day, grifters is all they are. Yeah. Let's move on. We got a couple of stories here. Oh, coffee is the greatest thing. One of the greatest things in the world. I run on coffee and spite now. So, just to let you know what keeps me going in these very difficult times. Coffee and spite. All right. So much for free speech. On Tuesday, President Donald Trump just threatened colleges federal funding for allowing what he called illegal protests. What's an illegal protest? Well, pretty much anything that he doesn't like. Trump recently took to his platform,
Truth, essential,
and wrote this. All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks. Thank you for your attention on this matter. What a weird way to end that post. Thank you for your attention. Like it's a PA announcement or something. But okay, let's get to the substance here. Arrested? You're arrest Americans for what? Doing their First Amendment right to protest? I mean, we're talking about sit-ins, okay? Whatever happened to free speech? Whatever happened to following the law? Oh yeah, we know. We know what happened to that. They don't care. But look, he doesn't care that he has absolutely no executive authority. There were no laws passed that would permit him to order the arrests of students that are just exercising their First Amendment rights to participate in protests. But again, he doesn't give a damn. Okay, he doesn't think he needs any of those. He thinks that, I'm the president, so I can do whatever I want. But you know what helped embolden him on this? When there were pro-Palestinian protests at these college campuses under Biden, that Democratic governors in some states allowed to be crushed by police. That helped him. Okay, these protests, though protected under the U.S. Constitution, were subject to major crackdowns by police in New York City, L.A., Atlanta, and other cities. More than 3,100 students, faculty members, and supporters arrested for demonstrating against the government's pretty unpopular support for the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. Yeah. But you understand, they were anti-Semitic, and they were violent, and all that stuff. Really? An analysis last May by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project found that 97% of the demonstrations on these college campuses were nonviolent. In a lot of the cases where there was violence, it was started by pro-Zionists. Yeah. And so here's the thing, though, okay? We know that Donald Trump is massively pro-Israel. In fact, at the same time that Trump cut off funding for Ukraine, he also sent a few billion more to Israel. Okay. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because he wants to build Gaza Lago. Okay. Or I don't know. Maybe because he hates Palestinians. Maybe it's a combination of these factors. I don't know. Okay. That said, Palestinians, they don't have enough money to bribe Donald Trump, or else maybe they should. If they had it, maybe they should. And so maybe then Trump would be partly on their side, or at least hear them out, right? But no, it's the Israelis. They have lots and lots of money and lots of influence. AIPAC bribes a lot of our politicians. They do so legally, of course. But not only that, Miriam Adelson, who's a huge Israel backer, she gave a lot of money to Donald Trump's reelection campaign. So, I mean, there's that. But wait a minute. Isn't anti-Semitism a problem? Yeah, it is. It's just not on college campuses, okay? Protesting the slaughter of Palestinians is not anti-Semitic. Not by nature, okay? No, here's what's going on, though. Donald Trump is making it so that anyone who criticizes the right-wing government of Israel, making it so that they could be punished, okay? And as I mentioned, the Democrats under Biden helped with this as well. And unfortunately, we have a government where there are a lot of members who are influenced by the pro-Israeli lobby. They're in the pocket of Netanyahu, all right? And look, a lot of it has to do with, hey, I don't want to be primaried by these very, very large PACs that dump money into these primary elections. I mean, we saw, quite a few members of the squad get just crushed under a flood of money from these groups, and they lost their primary challenges. And so that's what's happening, okay? Now, unfortunately, this has led to a situation where the right wing is now using that to target free speech. In fact, Mehdi Hassan rightly points out this. Trump here is referring to pro-Palestinian protests, so you won't hear a peep from conservatives or even pro-Israel liberals. But just imagine if this was Biden referring to illegal protests by conservative students or pro-life groups. The free speech brigade would be going mad. And it's true. I mean, so you had some loud protesters at a college campus before, making it hard for conservatives to do a speech. Okay. And the right wing completely melted down over that. But And then you have these protests against the slaughter of innocent people and journalists, by the way. And the Free Speech Brigade, they're trying to shut down those protests and people's ability to protest. And they're just gone. Where are they? Where are they? They're never gonna show up. Okay. So, and look, there's the hypocrisy, right? But the hypocrisy to them doesn't really matter. They don't actually care about being hypocrites. Okay. And so that's why it's ineffective in pointing out their hypocrisy. To them, they don't care. They just don't care. But that said, it actually could be worse than just shutting down anti-genocide protests. Okay. And this idea comes from author Jeff Charlet, who suggested on Tuesday that the ultimate goal of the president isn't just to shut down, things that are critical of Israel, but it's to militarize university campuses. Quote, this is targeted first at international students, but it's deliberately broad enough to lay the groundwork for a scene Trump and Hegseth have fantasized. Troops on campus. That is scary as hell. Look, college campuses have been a traditional place for a lot of protests, okay? And as a result of that, there have been a lot of tragedies. Kent State comes to mind. But maybe it's not going to be just on the college campuses. Because I could imagine where a situation where Trump could use whatever justification he wants to, okay, to start targeting protests that are not in college campuses, protests against him. Maybe this will be used as a pretext for crushing these anti-Trump protests. I don't know. But I do know that it is incredibly scary to see our First Amendment rights being stripped away like this. And unfortunately, with the help of some of these Democrats. Okay. I got one more story for y'all before I head out for the day. Yeah. So let's ask if it's time to panic. Martin O'Malley, the former commissioner of the Social Security Administration, has put out another warning about the current staffing bloodbath that has hit the Social Security Administration as a result of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Okay, on Monday, O'Malley said that the cuts to this agency, so far about 7,000 people have been planned to be cut, but it's possible that this could end up affecting 50% of the entire workforce at the SSA. These cuts, he said, could result in the collapse of the Social Security system within the next 30 to 90 days. Ultimately, he said, you're going to see the system collapse and an interruption of benefits. I believe you will see that within the next 30 to 90 days. People should start saving now. Well, I mean, there is a problem with that. It might be a little bit difficult considering how you have more than 73 million people that depend on Social Security. Many of them, once they're done paying their bills, they're not going to have anything left over to save. So what money are they going to have to save? Yeah. So this is very, very serious. If they start missing payments to people, That's going to have a huge effect. It's going to have effect on the local economy, grocery stores. People are not going to be able to pay their rent. They're not going to be able to pay their utilities. This is going to have massive, massive repercussions for the economy. It is going to be an absolute disaster. Okay. Now, that said, I thought that Donald Trump said he wasn't going to touch Social Security, that there wasn't going to be any benefit cuts. Well, this would be one way to get around it, because technically that would be true. Oh, we didn't cut anything. I mean, we didn't cut any benefits anyway. Here's the thing. If you think that Republicans haven't been dreaming up tricky ways to try to destroy the program from within, then you would be mistaken. One of those ways is to try to make the program unworkable and unreliable. Social Security has been incredibly reliable. It hasn't missed a payment to beneficiaries in something like 86 years. Okay. It's incredibly efficient. It has very low administrative costs. It is not filled with fraud, waste, or abuse. Okay. And so, with all of that, yeah, it's pretty hard to justify privatizing it, as other people have tried. Remember George W. Bush? He tried to privatize Social Security. He failed absolutely hard. Fell on his dumb face. All right. So, now that said, Republicans pretty quickly learned, well, we can't just we can't do benefit cuts openly, because people are going to come after us, right? We're going to lose our jobs. So now the plan is to undermine it, chip away at it. And how do you do that? Well, you lie, for one, about so-called waste, fraud, and abuse, right? Oh, yeah, no, we got waste, fraud, and abuse. It's everywhere. We got to, whatever. You can't trust it. Oh, it's going to run out of money, and all that stuff. When there's like a super easy fix for that, you just lift the cap on taxable, earnings, or on, lift the tax cap on how much billionaires pay into Social Security per year, because currently it takes Elon Musk about like 5 minutes to make enough money to pay his entire Social Security obligation for the entire year. So, yeah, they do that. They talk about the fraud, waste, and abuse, alleged fraud, waste, and abuse, and then they're doing what they're doing now, which is to obliterate the workforce, which they couldn't do before. Okay, not before this Schedule F, before Project 2025, which claims that that the president, the executive, has the authority to fire employees at these federal agencies. These are career officials. These are not political appointees. Okay. But Schedule F reclassifies them, and he brought that back when he won. And so he's claiming that he has the ability to fire all these employees. Okay. And not only that, but putting people in charge, of course, of these agencies that are also doing massive firings. And so now that workforce reduction is going to cause a degradation in service. Now, O'Malley's saying the checks are going to stop going out because it's just going to not be able to function. Like, they're not going to physically be able to send out the money anymore because there's just not going to be enough workers. And so they'll be late, or, they might not come at all. There will be an issue here, with making sure to get the payments right and things like that. And so once those stop going out, then the Republicans are going to count on people being angry. But wait a minute, you don't want angry people. Don't piss off the boomers, right? Well, they're hoping that the anger is not going to be directed towards them, but about big bad government not working right. Oh, it's inefficient. It's poorly run because of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. Yes, that's it. And then they're going to unveil a shiny new alternative. Privatization. Yeah. Which is essentially their final goal. Okay. This is what they want to do. They want to privatize it and, in essence, steal everyone's money who contributed to it. Okay. Now, it could get even worse. Donald Trump just recently announced that he's starting a crypto strategic reserve. Now, he's got to put money in there since it's a strategic reserve. And of course, it's not going to be his own money. And so, what do you think he's going to do? Imagine the plan here is privatize, kill off Social Security, and stick the money into that strategic reserve as crypto. Look, I'm not saying that that's the plan. I'm saying this is a possibility. But when you look at how many crypto guys poured money into Trump's campaign, I mean, it's a lot. Okay? Imagine how much they're salivating at this. Okay? And imagine how big of a crypto rug pull they could do with the Social Security money. With the market as unregulated as it is, complete and utter thievery. They could walk away with trillions of dollars while leaving the retirees, the disabled, etc., with absolutely nothing. Now, I know that what I'm saying is a nightmare scenario. It is. And maybe it won't happen. Okay? I'm just saying that this is one of the directions that this could lead. A giant crypto scam rug pull using everyone's retirement. Oh, and by the way, it all starts with people losing their trust and faith in Social Security, which they have been hammering on over and over again. You got Elon Musk out there saying it's a Ponzi scheme, when they're actually trying to set up a real Ponzi scheme. And so that's how it starts, and how it ends. Well, let's just say that I hope I'm wrong. Ooh. We live in the nightmare scenario. We absolutely do. We're in the bad place, everybody. We're in the bad place. So, just in case you were wondering, that's where we are, and all the bad things. They're happening. They're happening, and it's not good. So yeah. Hey. Since nobody's around to stop it, they can do it without any pushback. And that's what also I'm afraid of. We've had so much degradation in all of the guardrails that were in place. They are gone. I mean, and the courts are currently too slow. I know there's some judges that are doing their best and they're putting out these injunctions, right? But like, okay, you've got this president that's just, signing like all of these executive orders, okay, quickly, and you got people firing quickly. All those just happen in the space of a couple of months. Lightning speed. The courts cannot keep up with it. And Congress, of course, is beholden to Trump, so they're not doing anything about it. And what we're left with is no guardrails, and the oligarchy, just stepping all over us. It's not good. It's not good at all. Okay. Yeah. That's what I got for you today. So I may have depressed some of you, if not all of you, but that's kind of what I do. So, unfortunately. Thank you all for watching, listening. Those of you who are listening to this over on Patreon, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate you. Really, desperately needed your help. So thank you for supporting independent progressive media. Those of you who have not signed up to become a patron, what are you waiting for? That is unless, of course, that you cannot afford it, which that is completely understandable. But those of you who haven't signed up, who have the means, what you waiting for? Like, independent progressive media needs your help to keep doing this, to keep reporting on what's going on, and trying to attempting to hold people accountable, and mainly to push back against the BS that you're seeing pretty much everywhere else, whether it be mainstream media or conservative media pushing back. So need your help to be able to continue to do that. All right, so patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf if you haven't already, or sign up to become a member on YouTube if you're watching the live stream. With that said, thank you. Really appreciate you all. No super chats today, but that's another thing that you can do if you'd like. Is there a membership that you can do through YouTube? Yes. You can just hit the join button below. You're watching on YouTube. All right. So that said, thank you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow, hopefully around 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm trying to make that the normal time for the live show. All right. Well, have a good one. Try to anyway. And take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And we'll see you back here